Welcome to What's Up, Bolts? I'm Fernando Ramirez. That sunglass donning, hat wearing son of a gun is Dan in Daygo.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Shout
I
out.
I know the three of you. You guys are. I don't know.
It's
I
not
won't.
just us. It's not just us. Include your godson. He's the one who started this train. Don't you forget that.
So
Don't.
he's a train.
Don't.
He's a trendsetter.
No, I lied. He's like the megastar. He's a trendsetter where he just imitates everything else, bro.
Oh, there you go. I'm glad you finally admitted it. By the way,
I
according to
told
multiple
you this.
reports,
I told you.
there that he wants a lot more money than what WWE is offering. I knew that was going to happen. It's gone to
Ooh.
his head. No belts, but hey, yeah, let's get top dollar. But my bad. So obviously,
It's like the Ultimate
uh,
Warrior, Frown. You just got to be out there jacked and energized. You don't have to worry about
I
wrestling
think
and all
Dan
that.
and Daygo is taking the approach that the players have taken this week. It's a new week. Look, he's back in the office with Michael Scott.
That's right.
For all you guys,
Right.
Dan has a background with
24-hour
Michael Scott
rule.
in the
We're back
office.
to work. We're back to
He's
work today.
Yeah, he's not at Moe's anymore.
No, it's
So
over.
it'll be interesting to see what happens this weekend, though, guys, because this weekend the Chargers travel to Tennessee. They will be facing again off against the Tennessee Titans at Sunday at 10 a.m. That'll be an early game.
Good. That way I can get out of the way. Shout out.
Yeah, but it's clashing with the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Kansas City Chiefs game.
Nothing is clashing for me anymore, Frau. We got that Sunday ticket. We're moving on up.
But yeah, so obviously a lot of stuff going on. There's been a lot made about the defense. We'll get into some of that. We do have a guest.
Shout out.
Gentry Estes from the Tennessean. He's a reporter for the Tennessean. He covers the Tennessee Titans. He jumped on. He was like jumping on a plane from New Orleans back to Nashville. But he jumped on with us. I obviously there's no video portion of this, so it'll be a picture of Derrick Henry with the audio. But for all you YouTube people, for all you audio listeners, obviously,
no difference.
It's a good conversation, Dan. Honestly, I think people learn a lot. I know if you look at the box score, I was surprised by it too because I didn't watch the game. Obviously, I was at SoFi, Chargers and Dolphins. But when I saw Derrick Henry, 15 carries for 63 yards, he had 2 catch for 56, but one of those came on a 46-yard catch and run.
Yeah, I saw that one.
I'm like, 17 touches for Derrick Henry? What is going on? So Gentry gets into that. He gets into Ryan Tannehill. He threw 3 interceptions last weekend. What is that moving forward? But Dan, the big news, obviously, we're releasing this Thursday morning. So the big news out of both camps is one, Chargers. Austin Eckler has an ankle injury. And by the way, we do want to give our condolences out to his agent, Cameron Weiss, his family. He passed away with a battle with cancer. It's very sad.
Shout out.
Yeah. It's a tough break, obviously. Honestly, I remember I heard his story that he hit up Austin and he's like, "Hey, I know you're where you're at. I'm not a well-known agent either. Let's do this together." And they were able to climb up the ranks together, and it's a great story.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just very sad all around. But so Austin has an ankle injury. He had an ankle injury that Brandon Staley said he suffered during the game on Sunday. He didn't practice. Eric Kendricks didn't practice, but I think that was more personal. Joey Bosa is dealing with a hamstring injury. I guess it happened during the game, and he felt some tightness, so he didn't practice.
Something's in the water, Frau.
Dayon Henley still isn't practicing with a hamstring.
There it is.
The one positive news, though, is about Chris Rumph. Chris Rumph was limited. He is dealing with a hamstring injury, but he was limited in practice. You're a terrible human being.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. There's something in the water.
You're just staring at me, and I'm like, it's funny. I was listening to I think one day you and I have to do this though. Obviously I listen to the Kelsey's podcast now.
Oh yeah, shout out to them, dude. They were awesome.
They're awesome. But they kind of remind me of you and I, like the way we kind of talk trash to each other and we kind of talk and everything.
Oh
I
can
close my in one of those, I'm closing my eyes and I think it's like us. One day down the line, we'll do a podcast like that, so you guys really get to know the real Dan and Daygo. Well, you guys could get to know the real Dan and Daygo.
Don't you start that. Don't you start that. It was gone. It was gone.
Subscriber will be having lunch with Dan and Daygo. Alcoholic drinks not included.
I am not that interesting, I swear.
He is such an interesting human. There's a reason why Jeff, Uncle Joe, Gilbert, Eric Williams adores you.
He's the one who's trying to hype me up and get me in trouble over there half the time. I'm not that interesting, I swear.
Yeah, he very much is, especially if you're watching football with him.
That one's something else. That's wild.
For the 1,500th follower, you will get to hang out with little Daniel. That's our cousin.
Why are you gonna punish? Why are you gonna punish the viewers, dude? They don't want to hang out with his dumbass.
But my bad.
I know you're not listening, but you're an idiot. There you go. There's the shout out of the day.
Going back to I don't know why I brought up the Kelseys, but I was thinking about it and I'm like, this is kind of like us in a sense. Like we get off topic and then we kind of jump back into it.
Yeah, that's what I think. We're pretty loose, dude.
I think that's what fans enjoy though. The fact that
Rivers, Brett Favre, we're just slinging the damn thing.
I feel like that's what fans enjoy too. Is that we kind of jump around and kind of talk about different things. But
the thing is, like, we're not stooges or pundits. Like we've talked about before. These are all our real opinions. Like we're not just here playing a persona and let me get on this little mic and
that's why I'm telling you guys, if you guys want to know the man behind the cowboy hat, Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee loves you. He remembers you.
Stop it.
You're the one that he remembers. So I'm just saying.
It's because we both have a small bladder. That's what unites us.
Shout out to Pat McAfee.
Shout out to the GOAT. Him and the boys. Don't just limit it to him.
No, I know.
They're all awesome.
Yeah, all those guys.
Hey, Guppy still owes me for that Liverpool loss, dude.
Oh, I know. That one's going to be funny when
I'm
you
find his ass.
Durable. But going back to it, DeAndre Hopkins was the big one out of the the Titans camp, is that he didn't practice. And obviously, because it's not like he had a rest or whatever. No, it was an ankle injury. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does the rest of the week. Amani Hooker, their safety, DMP, did not practice. And then Traylon Burks was personal receiver, but everybody else, Trey Avery, cornerback, hamstring, he was full. Tajay Spears limited with a groin. And that's that's what brings me to this, Dan. Well, actually, no. I'm gonna
save it for the second half.
Yeah, because Gentry and I kind of get into it about this, so you guys will be able to listen. I'm telling you guys, like, he knows exactly why Derrick Henry didn't get that many carries, but at the same time, I feel like that makes fans a little bit nervous still, because I'm gonna be honest, like, the Dolphins kind of attacked some weaknesses from the Chargers. What was one of their big weaknesses? They can't keep up, and not a lot of teams can keep up with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. But you make some adjustments, you try and do some things, and it just wasn't seen. And I think that's the frustration from fans. But when you now look at, so then you go and you turn around and you look at what could possibly happen this weekend. I mean, the run defense hasn't been tested yet. And I thought the Dolphins kind of tested them a little bit in the first half, and I thought they were having their way with them. I thought they were having success in the second half. They kind of didn't, but in the first half, I thought they did.
Well, they went away from it too. All they were doing was dropping back and passing.
I kind of expect the Titans to try and attack the Chargers' run defense. I think that's what they're going to do, because DeAndre's not a fast guy. Traylon Burks is, but I feel like Traylon Burks isn't a Tyreek Hill, but he's still dangerous, so they need to be careful with him. DeAndre Hopkins is a different kind of receiver. He's more Keenan Allen, more about route running. He has sure hands. So
that's really going to test some of these cornerbacks, dude, to see how they're doing.
Yeah. And just to let you guys know, we did speak with JC Jackson today. Let me pull some of that up. I'm not going to show you guys the physical quotes. I will
read them to you. Story time with Fernando, dude. Here we go. Make sure you show me a picture.
So
I like
we asked. We asked him about how he's feeling. He's like, I felt like myself, felt good coming back, being out there with the team and being able to make plays for the team. I know there were some negatives, but there were also some positives. He did have a pass defense.
You preface that, by the way.
I had to be.
You're like, it's coming. You're like,
I know.
You're like, incoming.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I know how this goes. So it's it's how do I want to put this? So obviously he said that he is like he's still getting back to it. He's still not 100%.
It's not football shape.
Yeah, so I think he's still getting there. Shape. He's still doing that. So after you remember the interception in the end zone. He said that was that he's like, I messed up. Clearly, I should have taken a knee there. Yep. But I thought to myself, you know what? I see an avenue. I think I can take advantage of it. And I think I can score with this, or at least put us in a good position. Obviously, that didn't happen. And because of that, Justin Herbert got sacked at the 1 yard line. They had to punt out of their own end zone. Then on the very next play, Tua hits Tyreek Hill on JC Jackson was the one guard covering him. But he's like, I have to be smarter in those situations, and I have to keep on making plays. But then we also asked him, what about the one at halftime, before halftime? And he's like, that was a bad mistake by me, and I take full responsibility for that. He's like, I needed to be better. I don't know what I was thinking. So obviously he's taking ownership of it. He's not deflecting. Yeah. And then we asked him about the loss, and he goes, it's frustrating anytime you lose. It is frustrating, but I will say sometimes you have to lose to get to where you're trying to go. To have success, you have to fail first. Maybe our team needed that wake up, needed that to wake everybody the fuck up and humble everybody. I'm sorry for the language, but that's what he said.
I'm surprised you didn't bleep yourself.
Came in here and we let Miami beat us in our house. What were we? But what are we gonna do? I'm not worried about Miami. I'm worried about Tennessee. So obviously, that's a message, Dan, that I think a lot of Khalil Mack said it after the game. Derwin said it today. Derwin said, let me go back to it. Derwin was talking about, was this a wake-up call? And he says it was eye-opening for us on defense. It definitely woke a lot of us up on defense. Like I said, we just need to come out, execute, and do what we need to do. And then we asked him about the secondary. He's like, I can't wait for Sunday. I don't want to get up here and talk about it. Can't wait to show you guys on Sunday. Or can't wait for Sunday to show you. So these guys are confident that they can change their fortunes. I'm glad. Obviously, we'll see if that remains to be seen. But yeah, they don't want to talk about it. They want to be about it. So real quick, before we get to Gentry, your thoughts?
You know, it's just kind of alarming to me that, you know, of course, that's the message. You have the 24-hour rule. It is what it is. You lost week 1 at home. It is what it is. You got to move on to Tennessee or the season's going to get away from you. But, like, I don't understand where this whole is. Oh, maybe we'll wake up. Maybe we'll wake up. It's like, dude, it's week 1 of the NFL season. How the hell are you not juiced? How are you not ready to go? And how are you not trying to put on a better performance? I don't understand still to this day how they essentially let one man and half a man beat them the whole game. Like, literally, it was the half a man was Tua sitting back there, you know, to his credit again, made smart plays, but it was just all the yaks that Tyreek would get. And so, to me, that's just insane to me. But, I mean, it is what it is. Like they said, on to Tennessee. You shouldn't be having wake-up calls week 1. Week 1 is not a wake-up call day, dude.
It's better than week 17 or down the line. You've seen it before. I mean, guys have hiccups.
Exactly.
And then they go into the playoffs playing worse. So I think it is going to take him some time, damn it. I mean, remember last year he had the knee surgery, he had the ankle. No, the ankle.
I'm not talking about just him though. I'm not talking about just him.
I know. But I'm talking about
the defense as a whole.
It's going to take some time for him to gel. So with the team,
yeah,
so
I'm not talking about him.
I think this weekend is going to be big for him because I think DeAndre is kind of more his speed at receiver. I think he should be able to do well. But I mean, obviously, what I don't know. I don't know.
You're getting paid. What is he getting paid? 80 million something.
Yeah.
Everyone's your freaking speed, dude. There's no such thing. Everybody, if you're getting paid 80 million, you better be like, damn Darrelle Revis Island, follow his ass everywhere, man to man, no help. I'm sorry. It's $80 million, dude. You're not paying him some chump change. What is Asante making? Probably
I know.
less than half of that.
No, less than half.
He is still on his rookie deal. Michael Davis, I'm sure, is making not even close to that. So it's like, no,
Michael Davis is making about 10 million.
So what's the other one making? No, he got like 5-year 80, no, something like that. He's getting more per year for sure. For sure. And it's like, dude, the other thing is like, it's like we've talked about. You can't clone Derwin James, but you need guys to play up to his level to elevate. You need guys to play to a higher level, a higher potential. These guys just need to find it. I don't know what it's going to take to bring it out of him.
Jackson is making, guaranteed salary $12 million.
This year?
Michael,
This year?
Yeah, Michael Davis 9.4.
There you go.
Oh, but Michael Davis has a lot of like incentives and stuff that.
Yeah, obviously, but
oh my bad. Okay, no. Sorry. Base salary for J.C. Jackson $12 million. For Michael Davis, it is $6 million, so half of what.
Yeah, see, exactly. You see what I'm saying?
And
everybody's got to be your speed, dude.
Asante $1.3 million.
Yeah, see, and he's still on his rookie deal. Everybody's got to be your speed, dude.
But all right, Dan, let's get
I said let's move on. Sorry, I got distracted.
Gentry.
You're right. I got distracted.
Let's get it Gentry and let's hear what he has to say.
Shout out.
Folks, you guys know we love getting the opposing view from another beat reporter. We got Gentry Estes from the Tennessean. He covers all things Tennessee Titans. Let's go to him now. Gentry, thank you so much for joining the show. And how are you doing? It's only week 2, but I feel like there's a lot of craziness already going around in the league, and it's only been a week.
Yeah, you bet. A lot of travel on my end, which I guess is why you can't see me, but it's good to be with you.
Yeah, thank you so much again, and we appreciate the time. Is this identity still the same of the Tennessee Titans? It's Derrick Henry and keep on going with him, or what is that? What do you feel like is the identity of the Tennessee Titans?
Well, it's a good question. I think some people are kind of wondering that after the Saints game because they lose by 1 point. Derrick Henry gets 15 carries. And a lot of people were wondering at the end of the game why it wasn't more, and also why he wasn't on the field more often. To me, I think that did indicate a little bit of a shift in identity. The Titans have a new offensive coordinator this year in Tim Kelly, and they drafted a running back in the 3rd round, a rookie named Tyjae Spears, who was on the field actually a little bit more than Henry was in New Orleans. Spears is a much different back than what the Titans have had in Derrick Henry. I think he complements Henry quite well. I think he's a change of pace guy, a lot more explosive, big plays, that kind of thing. And Derrick Henry's still going to be a big part of what the Titans do. But the days of him getting 30, 35 carries and, the plan being for him to just wear out a defense for 4 quarters, I don't know if you're going to see that anymore. I think the Titans have shifted their identity a little bit. I think drafting Tyjae Spears was part of that, and I think signing DeAndre Hopkins in the offseason was a little bit of part of that too. And Hopkins ends up getting 13 targets in the first game, so that's something I think will continue as I think Tyjae Spears' role in the offense will continue to be prominent, and certainly more than any of Henry's backups have been the last few years.
What does Tyjae bring to the? Is it just more speed, or what do you feel like he brings to this Titans offense?
Yeah, he's more of what you would call a 3rd down back in that he's a little bit more of a receiver than Henry is, but I don't think they're just going to use him in that way. Spears is extremely explosive. He's a guy who he's more of a home run threat. You can use him more on the perimeter, certainly in the passing game, but also I think they're gonna hand him the football some too. And he is for all the complaints about not running Henry more down the stretch against New Orleans, I liked how the run game actually looked in that game. The Titans were pretty successful for a lot of the early stages of the game running Henry as they have for a number of years now. But they were able to involve Tyjae Spears, and I like that as a change of pace. I think they needed that a little bit offensively to just get a little more explosive and have a guy who a bit more of a home run threat touching the ball. And I feel like if you are able to blend a back like Henry with someone who's better in space like Tajay Spears, that gives them an element that they haven't had.
Yeah. Gentry, what do you make of Ryan Tannehill? I mean, now it's been a couple of years. He's been serviceable, I guess, in the past for the Titans. But 3 interceptions against the New Orleans Saints. He really didn't look all that comfortable. What do you make of him going into this season?
Yeah, I mean, it was surprising to see him struggle the way he did in that first game. Statistically, in terms of just passer rating, it was his worst ever start for the Titans, and it was actually the worst ever start of Ryan Tannehill's career. Just a poor performance, and I think going into it, you would have expected more, just because Tannehill's been pretty good with Tennessee. I've said that for a number of years now, that I believe league wide he's not really gotten the respect he deserves for how well he's played in Tennessee and how productive he's been on a consistent basis for a number of years. I mean, up until the end of last season when he got hurt, the Titans were in the playoffs. They were the number 1 seed a couple years ago. I mean, this is a team that's had some success, and you don't do that without an effective quarterback, and he has been that. I'd say around the league, you compare him to like a Kirk Cousins or somebody like that, who doesn't ever get a lot of he's not considered an elite quarterback, but you can win with that guy. On Sunday in New Orleans, they couldn't win with that guy. And that has not happened very often to the Titans, where you walk away from a game saying that, if Tannehill is just average that day, they probably win that game. And he wasn't. I mean, he struggled through 3 interceptions. Probably more costly, he missed a couple of wide open receivers on plays that could have gone for touchdowns, really. And, he's earned the right to work through that, especially with a new coordinator, new offense, all that kind of stuff. But I agree with the fact that the most concerning element was that he did not look comfortable. He didn't look confident. And you started to see that a little bit last season with some of the pass protection struggles. The Titans O-line has regressed here the last couple of years, to the point that they basically had to rebuild the whole unit this last offseason. So Tannehill goes out there, and the protection wasn't great, but even when it was good enough, he had happy feet. He didn't give plays a chance. He would try to escape the pocket. These are things that he had not been doing until maybe last season when he got banged up. So that to me is kind of the biggest concern moving forward.
Gentry, there was a lot of talk in the offseason. Is DeAndre Hopkins still the same guy? Can he get separation? He called some teams, or his agent called some teams didn't want him. What do you feel like he's been like during training camp and now after 1 week? Do you feel like he's still the same DeAndre Hopkins?
I do. I mean, from nothing I saw on the field throughout the entire training camp suggested otherwise. I think he's as good as I think the Titans got the player they believe they were getting in DeAndre Hopkins. It's a matter of staying healthy at his age, obviously. And I think when you talk about other teams not wanting him, I think you should say other teams didn't want him at the cost. And that really was what that came down to, is you have a guy who's been so productive and was demanding a salary that quite honestly a lot of teams weren't wanting to pay. Titans didn't really have a choice there in a lot of ways. They needed a lot of help at receiver. I think it was probably the worst receiving room in the league. They really struggled last year after trading A.J. Brown. That played out horribly for the offense, and they really missed that guy. So to get Hopkins alongside a promising youngster in Treylon Burks, they had to do it. They just did. But Hopkins has been a good addition. And, there was concern here. The Titans a couple of years ago traded for Julio Jones. There was some concern about this being a similar situation to that, where Julio Jones came in and felt like the second or third day of training camp practice, he got hurt his hamstring and then wasn't right for pretty much the whole season. I've not seen any of that with DeAndre Hopkins. I feel like, some of his issues, I know there was a suspension in Arizona and maybe a few nagging injuries, but I feel like I do not feel like he's on the decline the way some older receivers have been. I think he's still pretty good.
Okay. And then Treylon Burks has been a guy, first round pick. What have we kind of made of him so far in his in this season?
Well, but yeah, Burks was the player who was taken with the draft pick they got for trading AJ Brown to Philly. And so I always kind of felt like the expectations that were placed on him right away just weren't fair for a rookie receiver when he basically was the replacement for AJ. And he showed it some flashes at times last season of what he could do, but there were several injuries, and he just wasn't able to stay on the field enough to make that kind of impact. But I think a lot of that was just being a rookie. His offseason this last year, I mean, all the reviews were phenomenal in terms of the work ethic and what he had done to get in a little bit better shape this year after some conditioning issues early last year. And he really was primed for a breakout year until he hurt his knee in a joint practice in Minnesota against the Vikings. That ended up not being as bad as feared. It was a scary moment when it happened, but he ended up getting back in time for this first game. But you do wonder, is he really all the way back yet? Was he 100%? He didn't. The production in this first game against the Saints was not what you would have expected from him, and the Titans are gonna need him to make more of a dent than he did in this game. They're certainly going to need a lot more production from him, and they're going to need a lot more production from a second year tight end as well, and Chigakonkwo. They're banking a lot on him to be the number one tight end in this offense, and between the two of them, there really wasn't a whole lot to talk about in New Orleans.
When you move over to the defensive side of the football, I mean, the defensive line of the Titans is a good one, led by Jeffrey Simmons. Just training camp week one. They sacked Derek Carr 4 times, but can you just talk about the defensive line that the Titans have?
Yeah, it's the strength of the team. Certainly is the pass rush and what they've been able to do and build in the defensive front seven. To me, Jeffrey Simmons, one of the best interior D linemen in the league, can do a lot of pressure, interior pressure, but also stopping the run. The Titans had the best run defense in the NFL last season, and there really wasn't a lot you saw on Sunday that would suggest it's going to be a lot different this year. They whipped the Saints up front for much of that game, and that did mesh with a lot of what we had seen in the preseason from that defensive group. It was the kind of thing every day at practice that there was so much pressure on the quarterbacks, and the defense, it seemed like every day was getting the better of things with the top groups for the Titans. So you kind of walked away from that saying, well, gosh, is the O-line struggling that much in pass protection, or is the D-line that good? And I think the Saints game showed, I think it's both. I think that both were true because the pass rush against Derek Carr was very good. I thought the Saints were fortunate that the play in which Arden Key came around and knocked the ball out of Derek Carr's hands, that they were fortunate that was blown dead and called an incomplete pass, because I think when you go back and watch that again, a case could have been made that was a fumble that the Titans could have returned for a touchdown. And, there were some other pressures, and hey, give Derek Carr credit, because I felt like over the course of that game, both quarterbacks were under a good bit of pressure in that game, but Derek Carr, better than Tannehill, certainly handled that pressure and was able to escape the pocket and make some unscripted plays to help his team win that game.
Final 2 questions. One, the secondary. What do you make of the secondary? I mean, do you feel like they have some playmakers on that side? I mean, we know Kevin Byard, but what do you make of the secondary?
Well, they need to be healthy back there, and that's kind of been an issue for the last couple of seasons. Christian Fulton, who's your number one corner there, exited the game on Sunday with a hamstring issue, which kind of continued a troubling trend in his career with some of these soft tissue injuries. There was a real focus this offseason on his part in trying to train to avoid that. This is a contract year for him, and he'd had a really good camp to the point that you really expected, okay, he had a real contract year look about him. And then to see him exit in that Saints game with a hamstring injury was pretty deflating, knowing the background to all that. Also, safety Amani Hooker had a wonderful game. He forced a fumble on the opening kickoff. He had an interception, but he ended the game in concussion protocol. So you lose those two, and things start looking a lot different. I like the starting group in the secondary, but you question the depth, and that's kind of been the case for the Titans for a number of years now. The pass defense numbers last year were terrible. Some of that had to do with the fact that nobody could run the ball on them, so nobody even really tried to do it. But also, they need to get better back there. And in training camp, they have been. But I feel like that's something to watch, certainly going into this Sunday's game, is how healthy they are on the back end.
Last one for me. Mike Vrabel, is he job security safe and everything? He's loved in Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, he was the NFL Coach of the Year in 21. So yeah, I mean, one thing that happened late last year, I mean, they lost 7 games in a row to end the season. They were kind of the roster was decimated by injury.
Yeah,
and also during the course of that, the Titans fired their GM. They fired John Robinson. And I think in hiring Rand Carthen to replace him, I feel like Vrabel ended up getting a lot more of a say in some of the personnel matters than maybe he had before. So I think his role has expanded actually within the organization. And look, go look at the guy's career record. He's won a lot of games for the Titans. So I think it would take more than the end of last season, I think, to get him on the hot seat. But hey, look, they've lost 8 games in a row, so at this point they need to win one.
Yeah, no, and he seems like he's a fun guy to cover and everything. So yeah, no, I'm sure he should be good. Did you get any beignets in New Orleans?
No, didn't get. It was kind of a quick trip down there. It was pretty hot early game.
Oh, I bet.
But then the Superdome was rocking. They they were ready to go. It was a strange game though, given the fact that the Titans ended up kicking 5 field goals. And you didn't ask me about their kicking situation. That was kind of a mess. They ended up with Michael Badgley at one point, which is a guy I know Chargers fans know that name. And he lasted about a week. They juggled through about 3 kickers in training camp and ended up with Nick Folk from the Patriots. And guy goes out there and hits 5 of 5 on field goals. So they at least had that going for him.
Hey, there's a positive there. Yeah, Michael Badgley had a mixed career with the Chargers, but definitely, yeah, Nick Folk is a good one from the Patriots, and he seems like he could be a weapon for them. So they're, like you said, positives. But we appreciate you so much, Gentry Estes from the Tennessean. Thank you so much for joining the show, and thank you so much again, and have a great rest of your week.
Yeah, you bet. Take care.
So Dan, the concept from Gentry is that they want to put less on Derrick Henry's shoulders. We know those are wide shoulders; they're huge.
Yeah,
I met him I met him a couple of times, but when they came to San Diego one time, I remember I think he was a rookie, and I saw him. I'm like, oh my god! Like I thought it was a right tackle or something like that. Like the dude's huge. And Dante Lascano, our good compa, he goes in Spanish. Obviously, he tells me, how the hell are you supposed to tackle a mountain like that? And I started laughing. I'm like, you're not. Dude,
I was
wrong.
at the game last year. I'm like,
oh yeah.
I was like, Jesus Christ, he looks like an offensive lineman, dude. He looks like he can play tackle.
Yeah, no,
he end.
Yeah. He really does. But Dan, so the concept is Tajay Sharp. They really like him. I think he's their 3rd round draft pick. If what Gentry told me, if I can remember what Gentry told me, he's a 3rd round pick. He's a good guy that they think he's a 3rd down back. So that means pass catching ability. That means he's going to be quick. That means he's going to be elusive. That could give the Chargers problem, especially with their linebacking situation. I'm not going to lie. Kenneth Murray, I didn't think had that strong of a game, even though Brandon Staley did tell me I asked him today, and he said Kenneth played a quality game. It was a winning performance for us. He has had a really good training camp, and we're going to continue to build on it. I mean, I think honestly it's just coaches talk, to be honest, but I mean, obviously I'm not gonna put.
Didn't he have one of the worst grades in the defensive?
Yeah, but PFF is also like, I mean, it's the way I think the way everybody interprets it, I guess, in a sense, like, because sometimes like Justin Herbert sometimes last year had great performances, and they'd be like, oh, he got a 71.1 or whatever.
Don't disrespect the son of Odin like that.
I'm just saying, like, that's what I'm. But
no, I get it.
Yeah, but going back to this though, God, I think I lost my train of thought. What was the
3rd round draft?
Oh
pick,
yeah. So it seems like they're trying to use a little bit more of him.
Yeah.
Obviously, they try and put it on Tannehill. Dan, I saw some of the film from it. Tannehill should have had a couple more picks.
Yeah, it did not look good, dude.
So
It did
I don't
not look
know.
good.
I don't know what their game plan is going to be this weekend. But if DeAndre doesn't play, it's going to be even worse.
Yeah.
I'm sure. But I think you're going to see a heavy dosage of Derrick Henry. I think they're going to try and come at the Chargers defense. So I really do think that they're gonna try and throw some curveballs at the Chargers. I expect some trick plays as well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt that they tried some trick plays just to kind of get the ball rolling a little bit. It's their first game at home. Last week they were at the
Saints.
At the Saints. At the Mercedes or the Dome. What I don't know what
Superdome. Oh no. Hulkamania messed that one up.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah. Hulk Hogan got it wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dan. Last week you told us, so I'm gonna give you the floor. If you're Mike Vrabel and you're a defensive guy, you've been a defensive guy, you played defense. Obviously, you caught a lot of touchdowns as well. But how would you attack? You got it right last week. How would you attack the Chargers defense this week?
I think the first thing I'm doing, probably one of the first plays, I'm going either inside zone or I'm going power. I'm trying to get Derrick Henry downhill as fast as possible, especially if Eric Kendricks is banged up. I'm doing it to take him out of the game. I'm doing it to see if Kenneth Murray's going to step up and be physical. I'm doing it to see if Sebastian Joseph Day and Morgan Fox, some of these guys up front, if they want to be physical and play in the trenches like that, because number one, more than anything, they're going to try and stack that box. So, you've got to create displacement with down blocks and pulls and stuff like that. Another thing I'm doing, obviously, hopefully that gears towards success, because remember, in the run game, all you need is 4 yards of carry and you'll never punt. So if you can get 4 yards of carry, that's going to be beautiful, because you know what comes next? Play action. And play action, you're going to suck in these linebackers and some of these DBs if their eyes are in the backfield, and you're going to hit them right over the top. And honestly, I'm doing a similar game plan that Miami did, but the only thing I'm adding and switching up is that I would run the ball a lot more, because you obviously have Derrick Henry. I think he's the reigning rushing champ, but I'm not super sure.
No. Last year was Josh Jacobs.
Oh, you're right. Fine. Yeah. One of the reigning rushing champs that he's won it before. And I think you already know DBs are not going to want to tackle this guy. You already know these linebackers are probably nervous about tackling this guy. So another thing I would do is I would try and run at these DBs. Have, these receivers try and slam down and crack these linebackers or whatever to try and seal the edge. Let the DBs go one-on-one with him outside to see if they're going to tackle Derrick Henry. The other thing I'm doing for sure, and this is 100% what the one thing they do have to do, they have to make sure if they're using this third-round pick as a running back, they have to run the ball successfully with him also. That way there's no tell sign if it's a pass or a run. And I would take shots down the field. If DeAndre Hopkins is not playing, then you got to find somebody you trust to that level and capability. But you saw, these safeties back there, if their name was not Derwin James, did not have the best game when they were taking shots. So I would do a lot of that. The biggest thing I would try and do game plan wise is suck them in, especially like, I would throw a couple RPOs also at their asses. Just, suck in either Kenneth Murray or one of these linebackers step up a few times, and you just send a receiver right there to replace his feet. Boom, easy completion.
So you can what?
What, the RPO or sucking them in? Or
yeah. What did you say?
So I would. Oh, you're trying to set me up. You think I'm an idiot? You think I'm an idiot? You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. But all right. Yeah, you caught me. Hey, am I going to get credit for that one? I was literally about to fall for it, and I didn't fall for it at all.
I wish you would have. All right, let's go.
Your boy came ready today. Your boy came ready today. Hey, I'm locked in, bro. I'm locked in. You got me in coach mode, dude. That's why I'm super locked in. I'm looking at the details.
We're not panicking. No one's putting their head down. And we got a new challenge this week in Tennessee. And
exactly.
We're working towards that.
That's the thing, right? That's what it's all about. That's what football is, right? I was talking to the boys today. I'll be real quick. I try and give them the Spartan mentality. And the Spartan mentality is when they would go to war against whoever in ancient Greece, they would say either with your shield or on it. And what that means is in either case, you're going to give maximum absolute effort against the enemy. And either you're going to be victorious or you're going to pay the ultimate price and come home a hero or whatever. And that's what they got to do week in and week out, no matter what the record says, dude.
No, I completely agree. Let's hear now a little bit of what Justin Herbert
Shout out,
had to say. Let me
son
go
of
to
Odin, son
go to
of Odin.
Yeah, I thought there were some really good things that we did offensively. Still room for improvement. Still things to correct. But I thought running the ball, I thought we did a great job moving the ball down the field. So that's great to see, and looking forward to building on that momentum.
Obviously,
You know what I think about real quick, based off of last week and seeing him now. You remember when Cole Habib, we were at the Herberger's house, and he goes, "Our defense sucks."
oh yeah,
And they were all defensive players. For a backstory, we were around amongst defensive players. They were so pissed, and Cole was like, "How the hell do you score 30 points and lose?"
I remember that. But
They were
Dan, going to what Justin said, I agree with him. There was, hey, by the way, I thought Gerald Everett had a good game blocking wise last week. I thought the Titans did better blocking than we had given them. In the preseason games, they just looked disconnected. And here they looked engaged. They did well. My area of concern, though, is Mike Williams, Josh Palmer, and Quentin Johnston. I'm not worried about them as receivers. But they need to get them integrated into this offense. I know even Keenan had 5 catches for 76 yards, but the down the field one was the only catch that you were like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
It was like everything else was a little bit more like 5 yards, 6 yards.
But that's all you need though sometimes. Like
I completely understand, but I felt like okay, they were running the football really well, but then when you needed the pass, I felt like they kind of it wasn't that, like, on that last drive they tried to pass it a couple of times. And they had to settle for a field goal. So I think they need to get those guys going. I think they need to try and establish that. I mean, obviously, whatever the defense is giving you, but I think this weekend they're going to need to use them, Dan. Why? The Tennessee Titans have the #1 rushing defense in the NFL. They had them last year.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And they may be even better this year. So if I'm the Chargers, I understand you have to run the football. But I think in this game, it's going to have to be the Justin Herbert show and him passing the ball around and trying to get guys open. I know there's guys like Kevin Byard and other guys on that defense, but you have to be able to move the football up and down. And I think you're going to have to mix the pass with the run. Last week they did the run with the pass. This week I think they're going to have to do the pass with the run. And obviously, this offensive line is a lot better than it was last year. They've improved a lot better.
For the most part.
Brandon gave Jamari Sawyer a shout out during practice today, or during the media session. He thought that he had a really good game on Sunday, and he's like, it's not easy to go from tackle to guard. I think he said, no, he didn't say this.
But what do I know, Frau? What do I know?
It's harder to go from tackle to guard than it is from guard to tackle, right? Or it's basically the same stuff.
I think they're both difficult in their own way, because the thing about guard, right, especially in pass pro, going from guard to tackle, when you're a guard, right, you're for the most part going to have a double team inside unless they rush more guys. Tackle, you're one-on-one on an island, depending on what the protection is. So, and a lot of guys, you've seen it. A lot of guys have had problems with speed when they get out there. So it's like, trying to think of who moved from inside out. But you've seen it before where guys have problem picking up.
Jamari moved from out. I think he was a guard.
No, he was I think he was a tackle at Georgia, I think.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
You're right.
He moved in, But like when you try and move someone from in to out, like it's a lot different in the pass pro half of the time and in the run game, because for the most part you're ISO'd up on the end, or whoever the outside linebacker is, the edge, whatever the hell you want to call these fools. And when you move them inside, it's just, it's like I talked about last time. There are a lot different body types. Like you look at Joey Bosa compared to Aaron Donald, you're like, Jesus Christ, like that's a big change of who you got to block. You know what I mean? And you'll see that from time to time. Like, hell, look at freaking Jordan Davis compared to one of the edge rushers over there. That's a lot different of a body type. So I think they're both extremely difficult in their own way. But I think going outside in is a little bit tougher, just because, like I said, the physicality is just so much higher just because there's no space to work in. You're essentially when you move to guard, right? You're essentially like in a phone booth trying to fight somebody, right? There's no space. So you got to be extremely physical, extremely violent, and fire off the football if you're going to have any success.
Completely agree. Folks, before we make our picks and some of X Factor and all that, Dan did want me to go. I'm telling you guys, Dan is on this stuff. That's why we're lucky to have him. I told Gilbert the contract negotiations are going to be very tough when his contract is up.
I'm doing the Bosa.
After his contract is up after the Super Bowl, so I hope you guys are subscribing and everything because we're gonna need some help with Dan. But he wanted to go over the YouTube comments. Here's one that we found hilarious. It comes from @K4NG06. Again, folks, we appreciate you guys so much for commenting, taking the time to comment. I know it was a rough time. The Charge had just lost. But honestly,
when it's rough, usually it's funnier.
Yeah, I know exactly. But obviously, wait, I couldn't hear that. What'd you say?
I said when it's a rough time, it's usually funnier too. We get creative over here.
That's what she said.
Oh, you're an idiot! I fell for it. No.
Oh, whoops. Let me take that off. So obviously we're gonna go through some of these, and we're just gonna go through them. So they said Dan is insufferable for the most part, but coming to the realization that I'm exactly the same way. It's comforting. LOL. Charger season of depression on deck. So obviously, then he commented again, or he or she commented again. What's hilarious is how no one knows who this number 10 guy is on Miami. Huge surprise. That Chester Cheeto guy is gonna have a great career. Obviously, that's sarcasm, folks.
Shout out to Urban Meyer, dude.
But it's hilarious. It's hilarious what that first comment. Dan is insufferable for the most part.
Shout out.
And honestly, it was just hilarious to see that.
K4NG06. If you're listening, am I insufferable because I'm too pessimistic? Or is it my energy? Am I too loud?
No. I think it's going to be the pessimistic part. It's the pessimistic part. I think it's like you already know the right. I mean, Dan, you've been a fan since you were a kid, so you know, like you kind of know what's coming in a sense.
And
I guess.
You know what, Frau? It's only just begun.
Louise de Bruin. I'm sorry if I butchered that.
Yeah.
But it's terrifying to think that they'll have to face Derrick Henry next week. I know they only had 70 rushing yards, but if they committed to it, the Dolphins could have ran all over them. But their passing offense was just too explosive, so they didn't need to. Over 90 points the last 3 games allowed. Can't believe they had no pass rush either. 34 points should be enough to win. Bad situational football in the end for the offense. Bad loss. I mean, we've been saying that. The 3 games that this person is speaking of is the Broncos game, the Jacksonville Jaguars game, and then obviously this game. So yeah, they've really taken advantage of this defense, and they've been putting up the points. So yeah, that this person is completely right.
I think the part that's really alarming is the part where he says, "Can't believe they had no pass rush." That's so true. Like
this one's funny.
Okay,
go ahead. My bad.
No, it's okay. No, I'm sorry. As long as I get to be the bad guy, Frau, and get cut off, it's all good.
No. Well, no. My bad. It's just that I kind of want to get through these.
I was going to say real quick. Obviously, you have guys like Bosa and Mack, and you expect them to get pressure on them, and it's like to have none of that happen on Sunday, like that's alarming. And to already have Bosa with a tweak in his hamstring or whatever, that is not looking good, dude. Which one did you want to see? The defense look good in preseason? Yeah, it's preseason, but I don't know what to tell you.
But they put LOL, so obviously they're joking around.
No, I know. I'm with them. I'm with them. It's like they said Miami's a really good team. Well, thanks. I just noticed that on Sunday. Yeah.
Let's see.
The one where he talks about crazy we didn't press Tyreek, also unbelievable, dude. Like I think have you seen the play that's kind of going viral on social media, Frau, where Max lined up on him, he moves inside, and then he just has a quick out completed? I was like, as soon as I saw that play, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be one of those, dude. All right, that's kind of wild right there.
Yeah, no, I completely.
Then honestly, they beat the press, which I don't know if they've seen this video either. They were showing a lot of the motions that Tyreek Hill made, and it was absolutely insane, dude.
Yeah,
Being
he was
impressed
moving
by
around
in
a lot.
motion. Yeah. No, the one that I was so surprised of is the one where he's moving in motion and he's hauling ass, and as soon as they hike it, he runs like an angle route and just torches whoever was there.
All right, get through this one quickly. I know what you want to say. I'm gonna let you go,
Which one?
but get through it quickly. Old Noodle Arm is 2-1 against choke artist Herbert.
I think
Don't
that I think when they do stuff like that, it's so stupid to me. The guy scored 34 points or 31 points or whatever. What more do you want from him? Like, two things can be true, right, Frau? Miami was a better team. Justin Herbert's the better quarterback out of the two. Two things can be true at once. I don't understand. Like, whoever Terry 8799 is, wakes up every morning saying FML because we didn't draft the son of Odin. Herbert on that team would have already made an AFC championship easy. Especially with Mike McDaniel.
This is our favorite. This was my favorite comment. Gilbert loved it as well. Dan and Daygo belongs on talk radio, TV, movies. The guy's a star. We completely agree with that. Dan and Daygo is a star. That is why we're trying to keep him here. But obviously it's gonna be tough to keep him.
Shout out to maybe we'll start this round. That's Compa of the week right there. Whatever that username was. Shout out to you, bud. Compa of the week.
Look at that.
Oh, I was about to say Day. DK Real Feel. Shout out to you. DK Real Feel. Shout out to you. Are you a DJ? Is that a DJ name?
Woo woo. But obviously we completely agree with you, DK. Dan and Daygo is a star. I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to keep him because of how awesome he is. No, I'm just messing around. But we obviously love Dan, and he's a huge asset to what we do here on Compas on the Beat, and What's Up Bolts and everything. So, but yeah, thank you so much for that comment and all your comments. Obviously, we appreciate them. You guys are the best. Now, real quick, Dan, without going on a tangent,
I was gonna say real quick. Sorry to butt into your real quick. By the way, if you guys have any questions post game and stuff like that, or comments post game at Real F Ramirez, make sure you get over there and comment under there, and we'll be sure. Hopefully, Frau will tweet it out.
One of these days we'll go live.
Yeah. If not, also. I don't know if you want me live, Frau. That's just one of these little.
No, you've been really good. I
for the okie doke.
Honestly, I haven't had to edit you out yet. Anything that you
for the okie doke.
I know, but I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
If not, also go to the preview and put your comments in there, and I'll be sure to watch for that before we record on Sunday after the game. So anyway,
or tweet at Dan and Daygo.
Different avenues to reach us post game. That way you're kind of involved in the show.
And then here's Dan and Daygo's phone number. It is
get out of here. Get out of here. You're trying to prostitute me off for the 1,000 subscriber, and now you want to. I'm going to be like Tim Tebow, getting 1,000 texts, and I can't go to sleep, dude.
All right. Dan, fantasy player to watch.
Fantasy player to watch. I will go with Tennessee's defense. No. Yeah, Tennessee's defense. I will go with Tennessee's defense. Yeah.
You think they're gonna make something happen?
I see. This is the thing, right? I think Mike Vrabel brings that old school style of football. It's like when you play the Steelers. Well, obviously Sunday aside, when you play the Steelers, no matter if they're good or bad, you know that's going to be a physical, tough defense. Like, I don't think they're going to score 34 points like they did this week. I think this week's going to be a little tougher because remember, right? Vrabel was under Belichick as a player and stuff like that, so he knows probably how to.
You love Belichick.
I do love Belichick. You already know that. Frown, you already know what's my game day tradition. Don't act like.
All right, come on, we got to move on. I told you no soliloquies, no.
There you go. I'll take the Titans defense.
I'm gonna go. I'll say Keenan Allen. Allen has a big game.
Hey, Eddie's taking favorites. Shout out.
Oh my God. X Factor Dan.
X Factor. I think X Factor. Here we go. I will take Ryan Tannehill as the X Factor. I think if he plays a clean game.
Well, either way, he's going to be the X Factor.
For one team or the other, right? If he plays a clean game and does what he needs to do, hitting his spots, the Titans are going to be able to move the ball up and down on this defense. So give me Ryan Tannehill as the X factor.
I'll say
because that's what I do, Frau. I go with difficult, non-easy.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go Hogs. I'm gonna go Jamari Sawyer and Zion Johnson. Why? Because they're both gonna have to guard Jeffrey Simmons. It's gonna be tough, but I think they're both gonna come through, and I think they. I'll say they have a. I say they'll do well. Dan, prediction: who wins?
Chargers on the road. Whatever. Give me the Chargers.
All right.
Yeah, I'm already. You can't fall.
You can't fall 0-2. They have to win. So I'm going to say Chargers as well. Folks, we appreciate you guys so much for checking out yet another episode of What's Up, Bolts? Obviously, thank you to Gentry for jumping on with us. That was awesome. And don't forget, guys, as soon as the game is over, we will be jumping on. We'll have a post-game reaction for you. And Dan and Daygo and I will have all that ready for you guys. And like Dan said, if you guys have any questions or anything, make sure you tweet out at us or you put it on this episode. We'll obviously after the game or during the game, whatever, and we'll try and answer them during the when we record. But obviously, we appreciate you guys so much. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great week 2 weekend. Enjoy it. Spend time with the family and get ready because football is back. Football is back. I know we said that last week, but now we're saying it again because it's always awesome when football's out. But again, we appreciate you guys so much. Have a great one. Don't forget to be a compa, tell a compa, 1,000 subscriber. One lucky fan will be having lunch with Dan and Daygo.
There you go again.
But don't forget to comment, subscribe, tell your compas about what your compas are doing over here with this channel. Thank you guys so much. Have a great one.